Entrepreneurship and innovation can't happen in Appalachia. And if it could, wouldn't it already happened already? Now, from a few of your faces, I can tell that some of you are as confused and felt the exact same way that I did when I first heard those words. And unfortunately, I have heard that phrase and those words countless times since I moved here in 2014. But the most notable time I heard this was when I went on an AM radio program and we invited me on there and we talked the entire time about all of the great startups and startup activity happening all across Northeast Tennessee. And it was going really, really well until the host ended it with those exact words. He asked me, what would you say to someone who says entrepreneurship and innovation can't happen in Northeast Tennessee? And honestly, my jaw just hit the floor. We had just spent our entire time talking together about all the amazing things happening, yet he didn't believe it. He didn't believe that this could actually happen here. And so I left the program and I was mad and angry, and I was just driving away thinking, how is this gonna come across to absolutely all of the people listening? And then it hit me and I instantly felt better. It hit me that I was on an AM radio program. So no one was really listening, right? But all joking aside, when you hear something that many times, I think you owe it to yourself to stop and say, am I the one that's wrong? Can entrepreneurship and innovation happen in Northeast Tennessee? And so I thought tonight, why don't we answer this question once and for all? And I think I know the perfect place to begin, and that is at the absolute very beginning. In 1856, Henry Johnson founded Johnson's Depot, which would eventually evolve and become Johnson City. And if you've lived in this area, you've probably heard about Henry Johnson and that story. And you might have heard that he was a store owner, he was a postmaster, and even the very first mayor. But what you probably haven't heard about is that Henry Johnson was also the inventor, manufacturer, and seller of the threshing machine. And this was a device that would separate grain from its stalks. Now, no one believed that Henry Johnson would be a success. He had this crazy idea that he was going to put a town next to some railroad tracks and a water tower. And I'm sure when he talked about his invention, people probably thought he was a little crazy too. But they shouldn't have been so quick to discount him, because the founder of Johnson City was an entrepreneur. Then there was Sam Gwynn. And Sam wasn't just your average citizen of Johnson City. Sam, in 1917, secured the patent for the absolutely very first flintlock lighter, which is not too far from what we know today. And initially, Sam manufactured all of his lighters in Cincinnati until the Johnson City Chamber of Commerce strongly urged him to move his manufacturing right back home. And he did. And he created the S.E. Gwynn Manufacturing Company. And he produced and sold his inventions, all kinds of inventions, as well as his lighters, to the point where they eventually became collector's items all around the world today. But Sam wasn't alone. Northeast Tennessee has created multiple inventors over the years, and many of them have achieved lasting success like Sam. And it might surprise you to learn that that many inventors have come out of Northeast Tennessee, but it really shouldn't, because Sam and all the other inventors, they were innovators and they were entrepreneurs. And you might have, I'm sure you've probably heard of the Over Mountain Men, and you might have heard of the Battle at Kings Mountain. And the Battle at Kings Mountain was considered a turning point in the Revolutionary War. But what none of us hear nearly enough about is Mary Patton, also known as Gunpowder Mary. And that is a cool nickname. But Mary, right as the Revolutionary War started, the British decided to stop sending us gunpowder, which I think is for obvious reasons, right? And so in 1777, Mary and the rest of the Patton family started manufacturing gunpowder. Now, this wasn't just any gunpowder. This was very special gourmet gunpowder, the very, very best of the best. And because of all of her work, she was able to produce over 500 pounds of gunpowder for the Overmountain Men in her mill in Powder Branch. Now, this is actually where Powder Branch Road comes from in Elizabethton, Tennessee. And I think it's just so incredible and awesome when you really think about that. A female business founder is behind one of the Overmountain Men's greatest success. Mary is actually credited with the win at the Battle of Kings Mountain, and her gunpowder is listed as the special ingredient that made it possible. And as we move into slightly more recent times, Henry Ford and Thomas Edison and the rest of their friend group visited Johnson City in 1918. And during their time here, they talked about how this was such an incredible place because of the innovative people who lived here. And of course, you can't talk about innovation in Appalachia without at least mentioning moonshine. Now, moonshine is innovative on its own, right? I mean, that's pretty amazing stuff. But we often forget that bootleggers would soup up their cars, and they would do that so they could outrun the police as they moved their moonshine around. And that led to them saying, I wonder who has the fastest car, which then evolved into modern day racing. And this is why we have the Bristol Motor Speedway in our region today. And don't forget that Northeast Tennessee pioneered an entirely new genre of music and gave country music to the world. Eastman came here and built the Model City, which was a whole new way and a new approach, an innovative approach to city planning and development. And take a second to realize and look around. We are sitting in East Tennessee State University's campus. ETSU has been a hub of innovation and research in Appalachia since its very founding. And today, we have innovative startups that are working every single day to build a better future for us all. A local startup, Stone Mountain Technologies, just raised a $15 million Series A investment, and that is to revolutionize the HVAC heating and cooling industry. And they're already building a modern plant today to produce their devices. We also have Personality Pool. They're an innovative and really incredible approach to connecting us and hiring workers. And they take a personality fit first approach. And they're already working with organizations all across the country. And they've been successfully raising venture capital in this area so they can continue to grow their business right here in Northeast Tennessee. And of course, we have Green Llama. And Green Llama is literally building a better future for us all with their eco-friendly cleaning products. And recently, they've been on a mission to reduce plastic waste in the world. And they've been able to take their plastic trigger sprayers and switch these to being from plastic to being made from recycled wind turbine blades. Like, how awesome is that, right? And so I think it's time that these are just a few, these are 3 of the startups in Appalachia. Today, there are over 70 known startups in Northeast Tennessee. And that is just a fraction of the total startups happening all across Appalachia. And so I think it's time to answer that original question once and for all. Our history shows that entrepreneurship and innovation, it can happen here. It always has. It has always been a part of our story. The very city that all of us are sitting in right now was literally built on top of it. And so when we talk about rewriting the Appalachian narrative, I see it a little bit differently. I say the Appalachian narrative has already been written. We just need to read it and read the real story and then believe it and believe that it can actually happen here. Then we need to go out and share it with others and share that true story so they know what it is. Then the rest of the world will see us for who we always have been and who we are today. My name is David Nelson. I'm the executive director of Founders Forge, and I believe in the underdog entrepreneurs in Appalachia. Thank you.